Hello, everyone, and welcome to Radical Thinker, the place where we challenge Western media narratives and perspectives. Today it's Monday, May 11, and we are entering day 72 of the American and Israeli war imposed on the Islamic Republic of Iran. Today's updates are not so many, and the most important, I think, is Iran's response to the latest US proposal. Yesterday, through the Pakistani mediators, Iran sent its response to the United States. According to the Iranian Tasnim news agency, Iran's response emphasizes the following points: no handover of Iran's enriched uranium stockpile to the US or any other country, an end to the war on all fronts, including Lebanon, and guarantees of no further aggression, the immediate lifting of the US naval blockade, gradual lifting of all US sanctions against Iran, specifically sanctions on Iran's oil exports must be lifted within 30 days of signing a memorandum of understanding, then the release of frozen Iranian funds within the 30 days period after signing the MOU, and the United States should recognize Iranian control of the Strait of Hormuz. It didn't take long after Iran sent its response for Donald Trump to answer, of course, on social media, on Truth Social. Where can Donald Trump answer? And he said, "I have just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. Totally unacceptable. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump." This is the intellectual level of the president of one of the most powerful countries of the world in 2026. He writes on social media, "I don't like it." Exactly the type of reaction one would expect from a spoiled little child. I don't like it. I don't want it. It's mine. I want everything. This is exactly the behavior that a 3, 4, 5-year-old child is going to have because he is too spoiled by his parents and he thinks the world is his and he can have and ask anything. This is Donald Trump, the so-called president of the United States. After Donald Trump's reaction, an Iranian official told the Tasnim news agency, "We just saw the reaction of the so-called president of the United States to Iran's response. It doesn't matter at all. No one in Iran drafts plans to please Trump. The negotiation team should only draft plans for the right of the Iranian nation, and if Trump is not satisfied with it, that is naturally better. Trump generally doesn't like reality. This is why he keeps losing to Iran." I think this statement really nails it. This is so true. Trump generally doesn't like the reality. This is why he keeps losing to Iran, because he lives in his own reality. He really thinks what he says. He has a parallel reality in which his military forces decimated Iran. He really thinks that Iran doesn't have the power to answer to American aggression, although the reality shows that Iran has more than enough military capabilities to hit the Americans and to hit them hard in the Persian Gulf. But Donald Trump keeps creating his own fantasy, in which somehow Iranian officials are calling him every week to tell him that they want to surrender, but somehow this never materializes, it doesn't happen. Every time he says we are close to having a deal or Iran has capitulated. 1 month ago, Iran supposedly was sending him oil tankers as gifts. No one saw those oil tankers. I don't think those oil tankers parked in front of his mansion at Mar-a-Lago. No, it didn't happen like this. Because everything is a fantasy. Donald Trump himself is the end result of a fantasy. Everything that he says and does is a fantasy. There is nothing substantial in what Donald Trump says or does. He's just selling an illusion. This is why a character like Trump was prepared and was promoted in American media for a long time. Because he was supposed to sell an illusion to the American people and at a certain point to become the president of the United States, which, as we know now, happened for 2 terms. This doesn't mean that the previous American presidents before him had something more substantial to say or some bright ideas of how to make the planet a better place for everyone without promoting American colonialism. No. They were the same. I talked about this a few episodes ago. All of them are the same American presidents. The only difference between them is that Donald Trump is the most outspoken of them all. He says things as they always have been. There is absolutely no difference between Donald Trump or Obama or Bush or Clinton. They have the same narrow view of the world. All of them are promoting American exceptionalism. All of them think the world should bend to American dictates, and all of them are corrupt. This is probably the biggest similarity between all of these American presidents. In other news, Benjamin Netanyahu, Israeli Prime Minister and also the big boss of Donald Trump, had an interview on 60 Minutes The reporter asked him if the war with Iran is over. Netanyahu replied that no, because there is still nuclear material, enriched uranium, that has to be taken out of Iran. There are still enrichment sites that need to be dismantled. There are still proxies that Iran supports. Ballistic missiles they still want to produce. Now we've degraded a lot of it, but all that is still there and there's work to be done. Netanyahu was also asked how he sees the highly enriched uranium removed from Iran. He said, you go in and you take it out. Netanyahu said, I'm not going to talk about military means. What President Trump has said to me, I want to go in there. He said it publicly. I think he's right. He's very committed to this. What can we deduce and understand from Netanyahu's statements is that they had a lot of plans for this war. They wanted to destroy completely Iran's nuclear program. They wanted to get the enriched uranium stockpile out of the country. They wanted to destroy Iran's capability to build missiles and drones. And also they wanted to destroy Iran's allies, for example, Hezbollah or Ansarullah. From what we understand, none of these goals have been achieved. No one can believe Netanyahu that Israel has managed to destroy Iran's missiles, drones, and its capability of building them. During this ceasefire, most probably Iran has rearranged its defensive capabilities. Probably they are producing different types of ballistic missiles and drones in larger quantities now, and they are thoroughly preparing for the second round of the war. No one in Iran thinks this is over, but what most people in Iran think, and not only in Iran, probably all over the world, is that the Americans and the Israelis failed in the first round of the war to achieve any of their goals. Okay, they achieved one. They killed the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. But this didn't change anything. On contrary, the assassination of the supreme leader of Iran managed to unite the Iranian people at levels never seen before, probably since the Islamic Revolution of 1979 or of the times of the war imposed on them by Saddam. So the idiot in Mossad or in the Likud party or in Washington who came up with the idea of assassinating Ali Khamenei in his house together with most of his family, managed to boost the popularity of the Islamic Republic to levels never seen before. What else was achieved in the first round of the war is the fact that the Americans, although they brought a lot of military ships in the region, they lost most of their ground bases. Iran bombed and destroyed at least 14 American bases in the Persian Gulf. And it will take the Americans a lot of time and a lot of money to be able to rebuild the ground infrastructure they once possessed in Bahrain, in Kuwait, in the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and so on. You cannot replace easily a $700 million radar. This is expensive tech. It takes a lot of time to produce. Look, for example, at Patriot missiles. Their production takes a lot of time, and there is only a limited number of these Patriot missiles which the American industry can produce every year. They cannot ramp up the production. It's not so easy because they are too complex. These weapons are too expensive. They are too fancy, and in the end, they don't have a positive return on investment. They are too expensive for what they are destroying. This became clear during the Iraq War, during the Obama era, when expensive weapons were used in Afghanistan and in Yemen, and so on. One missile which is worth $1 or more million is destroying an objective worth $10,000. This is not profitable for the American state, but it's very profitable for the American military-industrial complex. And the American military-industrial complex is not interested in quick wars. They are interested in long wars, which is going to create an artificial demand. Therefore, more money gets out of the American treasury and enters the bank accounts of these weapons manufacturing companies. Going back to Netanyahu, he is clearly a psychopath, but what we need to give him is the fact that he's very ambitious. He's going to push and push and push, and he's going to use all its cards in order to play the Americans and to put them to fight against Iran. He wants to be remembered in Israel as the political leader who destroyed the Islamic Republic of Iran, the axis of resistance, and the Palestinians. This is how Benjamin Netanyahu wants to be remembered in Israel. He doesn't care about political polls, about popularity. No. He is an egomaniac, same as Trump, but much more intelligent. He is much more wicked and much more capable. Donald Trump is an imbecile. He's an imbecile with a big mouth that can be manipulated and used very, very easily. And this is exactly what the Israelis have been doing for a couple of years now. But Netanyahu is very evil, very destructive, but also very intelligent. I would say demonically intelligent. This is who Benjamin Netanyahu is. And he also had a lot of patience and he followed his goals ruthlessly. He was working for this war between the United States and Iran for 40 years. Before that, he lobbied for years for the Americans to go and invade Iraq and depose Saddam Hussein. And he achieved this goal. He inflicted so much pain and so much terror on the Palestinian people with full American support and backing. He managed to make Israel reach unthinkable levels of control over various American administrations. Everyone knew that the Israeli lobby is very powerful. But no one could have anticipated this level of control and arrogance. This Israeli lobby, which once was somehow in the background, now made the big mistake of coming forward. We are seeing on social media AIPAC accounts bragging about how the politicians they are funding, they are always winning elections, and how everyone who goes against Israel and Israel's interests is not going to win any type of elections in the United States. If 40 years ago, 50 years ago, Israelis had widespread popularity in the United States, now I think they only have a marginal popularity. Multiple American administrations have put Israel first instead of America first. And the biggest disappointment for ordinary Americans is Trump, especially for his MAGA base and his voters. Trump is one of the biggest disappointments in American politics. In my opinion, bigger than Obama. Obama was also a huge disappointment. For now, this is all. Please like, follow, share, and subscribe. If you want me to touch on certain subjects, don't forget to write in the comment section of the Radical Thinker YouTube channel.